Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we smash apart the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 1-minute chunks so we can analyze them in scrupulous detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Road to Infinity podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco, and for those of you listening, you probably realize we just love weird bits of information.
Yes, we love obscure trivia.
When it comes time to do research for these episodes, it's awesome for us, right?
It's amazing what you find.
All these things. So when I got to this minute, I went, well, what am I going to focus on here for, my weird stuff? And I said, tear gas.
Okay, sure.
What can I learn about tear gas? What's its effect, everything else? No, I'm not going to get into any of that. Here's what I found.
Okay.
Did you know that there is a 1940 film, American drama?
Okay.
It is called Tear Gas Squad.
Okay.
It's directed by Terry Morse. It stars Dennis Morgan, John Payne, Gloria Dixon.
This is a short film?
No, it's a film.
Oh, it's a movie.
Okay. It's a movie, 1940.
Well,
now,
sure.
I've never seen it, anything else. But here's what I found spectacular.
Okay.
The movie poster for this
Okay.
is Tear Gas Squad, right? and the opening quote is, "Okay, rat, it's your turn to cry."
The gas jam drama of the men behind the tear gas guns, the bravest cops on earth.
Really?
Wow. I love that.
Right?
Okay, rat, it's your turn to cry.
We're gonna smoke you out, you criminals! Like, I just got the biggest kick out of this, and now I want to see it. Of course,
I know. Now I badly want to see this. Why hasn't this been remade yet?
So, well,
Tear Gas Squad in color. Actually, I don't even know if it's in color. 1940s.
Your tears will be real. Coming summer 2021.
No, it would have been. Oh yeah, you're talking about the remake. I was thinking, cry real tears at Tear Gas Squad. Did you? How movie things change.
The only movie where we pass out tissues. Yeah. Like, I mean,
see the criminals cry. See the G-men stop them.
Why? Wow. Why do I bring this up?
Because it's a gas, baby.
Oh, no.
So here we go in minute 52 of The Incredible Hulk from 2008, directed by Louis Leterrier. And we pick up where we left off, which is the gas canisters fired at Bruce Banner, who's in the overpass. So let's talk a little bit about the overpass before we get into the action. So everything you see on there is real. They actually built all of this. They found this existing structure with this nice walkway, and it was just a one-story walkway when they were doing location scouting. And they had this sequence planned out of the glass and all the things, and they sort of looked around the campus and went, hey, what if we just built this on top of that? And so they actually built that whole glass structure on top of an existing structure. So when you see the shot in the movie of the stonework across the bottom, that is real. That is a real wall shot. But everything above there is stuff that the movie, they built just for The Incredible Hulk. So
now, is it permanent? Did they?
No, because they're gonna blow it up because like the Hulk comes out in this minute, so it's all designed to be broken down. So they just took it all down. So, but you can go back to where they shot it, and it's that the existing structure is still there, but the glass top is not because there's no doors at the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I thought it was CG. Like I thought it was that the whole thing was just CG.
Well, I thought it was all CG too.
Yeah,
sure.
but no, they actually built it. There's a whole behind the scenes thing on the Blu-ray that goes into how they shot it, and so they actually did all this stuff, including filling it with smoke.
And the smoke's real.
The smoke is real.
What?
Right. So as we see, the canisters fly in there. Bruce is like, oh, this is going to get bad. And so the canisters fly. Now, when the canisters hit and start spewing gas, that's all CG. There's no canister. There's no gas. Like all that is fake.
Because you can't place what that canister is.
No,
it's
just pure movie magic.
Right.
But when you see him in there and it's filling with smoke, that is real smoke. So they thought, okay, what if we do dry ice? They're like, okay, well, we can't really fill a space with dry ice with an actor in there because he will die.
Right.
So what they found is they actually shot steam over dry ice, and it caused this really nice billowing thing. So it just got warm. So I mean, like he'd be sweating a lot and stuff too, but it was totally, you could breathe it, and it filled that space. They said within like 2 minutes, they would just turn on, and it would just fill that with this nice thick white smoke. Entirely filling that space. They had to seal it, obviously, so it wouldn't get out. All the stuff you're seeing here of him walking around through the smoke is all real and all totally safe.
That's amazing because when you look at this sequence, we do this great pan of the CG canister spinning around, smoke's filling up. Bruce, very good scientific mind.
Yes.
He immediately takes his outer shirt off,
Yep.
wraps it up so he can cover his, like if you're in a fire,
Right.
Like, you want to make sure that you can breathe.
Yeah.
But then it cuts to this it's overly crystal clear exterior shot, again, perfectly framed.
Yep.
Of this walkway. You clearly see Bruce. You clearly see the smoke coming from the sides.
Yeah.
The storm clouds are rolling in.
That's right. Yeah. Storm
It's a
clouds
really
above.
awesome shot.
Right.
Again, almost too clear.
Yeah.
But you're trying to, again, put all the pieces together so you can see what's about to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
interesting.
So, right. So then same thing. So Betty and Ross are watching from far away. Like, obviously they can see smoke is fairing it. She knows it. So Betty takes off running, pushes past him, and Ross never even looks at her.
No.
Like, once again, like we
The
talked,
eyes don't even move.
Don't even move. Like, he sees it happen, but he never takes his eyes off of Bruce,
Right.
and he basically says, "Get her back here." And so he sends 2 soldiers to get her. And the first one earns an elbow to the face. And so the second one is our friend Terry Notary. So here's again the motion capture person for the Hulk and a bunch of other stuff, including all the Planet of the Apes movies. And you see he's the one that actually tackles her. And so then Bruce is seeing this. So once again, there's a little bit of like movie trickery in terms of like how much could he really see?
Well, how much can he see? Because of the distance that
we
we've already
saw how
shown.
far,
Yeah, we saw how far
right?
it is. It's not that close.
But let's see. My no prize for that would be that his vision is already starting to get better because he's in the partial transformation. So he now has Hulk eyes because that's where it starts. So he's losing his Hulk eyes.
That's pretty good.
I'll be waiting for my no prize in the mail. So because his eyes are starting to glow green, it's a very odd expression in his face too, because it especially in the first one where where he's trying to stop the transformation from happening because he knows he can feel it and stuff too, but it's this very like.
It has a much more of a bathroom quality expression.
It does. That's a good way. That's a good way to say it.
It's actually.
That's what I was thinking too.
I gotta
find
tell
a
you,
nice way to say it.
When you look at this expression, it's my least favorite Ed Norton expression of this movie so far.
I would agree.
With a movie filled with facial expressions.
A lot of facial expressions. He's a very.
This is not a great expression.
He's not Tommy Lee Jones, where there's 2. Like, he's a very facially expressive actor.
No, this one is a little comical where you don't want comedy.
No, yeah, but yeah, then when it finally gets to that when he realizes he's not going to be able to extend it anymore, there's a great like, and as he gasps and like basically breathes in the smoke, and for a second, you're like, oh well, that's it, he's knocked out now.
Oh,
it's like,
no.
and to a certain extent, you're right. Bruce is gone.
Oh, Bruce is gone. Now.
But now the other guy shows up.
So this speaks to what I think we mentioned in the minute 51.
Mm-hmm.
Does Bruce was he fearful that he was going to turn? Was this something that was going to cross the Rubicon to use a deep cut there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was he going to go and flip the switch?
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing that really at the end causes him to flip the switch?
Yeah, it's Betty being tackled.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the inner defender in him, like that she needs to.
It's not the fear of getting caught. Nope. It's not even the tear gas. Mm-mm. It's not even any of these things. It's he swallowed the data. It's all that. It's when Betty looks like she has been harmed. Yeah. That's when he loses it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty clear. I mean, and that speaks to what we've talked about.
And that gets into the sort of where the line of the hero, like the heroic nature of it too, is that like he's going to do something heroic, like he needs to help her. So for a second there, so then there's a great moment of silence.
Well, goes back to the first time we saw the transformation, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
Instead of getting the this movie's take is silence when the transformation happens. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. The consistency has happened in that, so it's good.
Yeah, because so then we get a quick check in on everybody. So we check in and go, don't forget, Emil Blonsky's here. We haven't seen him in a couple
we forgot
minutes,
him.
Right? So there he is, like he's been waiting for this opportunity. Then Betty and the soldier, Terry Notary, both looking up, Ross looking up. They're all there as we see Bruce's hand hit the glass and spiderweb shatter, like it's starting to break.
By the way, when you
talk, it's starting to get bigger.
You talked about Terry.
I did.
And his presence of where the camera is. Does a full-on camera, looks right in the camera.
Oh, yes. That's it. He's got, like I say, the man has great camera sense.
He knows.
In every shot, when he's in it, like you know exactly where he is because there he is.
It's very funny, though, because this is one of those few times where the actor looks right into the camera and everyone's like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's fun. We know you're looking at the Hulk. And then Blonsky has that look of, oh yeah, now it's on.
Oh, it's my time is coming.
Yeah, here we go. And then we see the Hand transforming first, bigger, greener, and then as we were talking about this movie is very big about the size and the strength, like the how much damage he does as the Hand crushes down, then it cracks the tiles as it's transforming. Then we see the big green feet, the ripping out of the shoes, and then we follow it up the back. I mean, it's a nice tracking shot of we follow from hand to foot across the back. And they did shoot this with Edward Norton, like as a reference.
Oh, okay.
So they show him like sort of doing like the generic Hulk thing as it went up his back and all that kind of stuff, and then they sort of like use that as inspiration to do this, ripping through the shirt and all that. And then two guys like, I think we got him. We got him, right?
Oh, the two guys who had the
two soldiers, the two gas canister
launchers, right?
Yeah, the 40 millimeter launchers.
Well, the one guy's got the like, yeah, and then the other guy on his right is looking at him like, do they work?
We're gonna be okay, right?
Because I hear noises. They don't sound human.
Now,
should we run?
Do you think they've been briefed?
No.
Of
you course
think
not.
Ross still has compartmentalized, so it's him and Spar, and none of the rest of these guys know.
Ross stinks. He's not. No.
So it's Emil, Ross, and Major Spar, the only ones who know what could happen.
And here's doubly why that.
Okay.
Because not only is he still trying to cover the whole Hulk situation.
Yeah.
He's also trying to cover his fresh, spanking new super soldier.
Yes, that's true.
So this has got to be he's trying to make this the most covert operation he can, which is going to fail miserably, spoiler. Yeah. But that's what his plan is, because he's already blurring the lines of what's allowed here.
Yeah.
On top of that. So I think, none of these guys know.
Yeah.
They're just like,
just regular. It's like, oh, we got him, right? I mean, 2 canisters for one little guy. Yeah, and then we see like in the overpass full of smoke, the silhouette.
Again, the silhouette we saw that in the bottling plant.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this is interesting. So now our big green fin has shown up. The title character, the Incredible Hulk, is here. He doesn't punch his way out. He doesn't kick his way out, which I thought was interesting. He stomps, and it shatters things. So he basically almost creates like a miniature sonic boom.
Right.
He puts his foot down so fast, so hard, that it blows out the front of it. And then from there, like we see the pieces of it go flying by. It's a nice CG thing of the pieces going between the 2 soldiers as they're running away from this explosion they don't know what caused.
Well, the left soldier, I think, gets kapushed.
You think so? I mean, he sort of falls off the side.
No, because
the big chunk of stuff.
So there's the one pillar. So when he stomps, and again, you've had this beautiful set piece of this bridge. You've got these big pillars that are separating out. These look like these 12, 14 foot wide glass sections. Mm-hmm. One of the pillars, I think, takes out the one soldier.
Okay.
And this is, again, we'll continue to talk about this, just like we did in the bottling plant. I think some of these people don't make it. I think there's some issues, because getting walloped by that, even though you didn't see it coming, and again, we've mentioned this, he's just running.
Yeah.
That looks pretty deadly.
Well, I gotta say, this is another thing they've established earlier on in the movie, is when the Hulk shows up, people run away. And these soldiers are like, huh.
We gotta
sometimes they get hit by the shrapnel. And that's what happens here. We saw it happen in the bottling plant, and now we're seeing it happen here too. So it blows out. And then with the only line in all of minute 52 is Ross. They cut to Ross, and he says, "Now she'll see." All right, you've been defending this guy. Now here's the monster that's inside him. Now you'll come around to my way of thinking. And so basically be like, oh, Dad, you were so right.
I mean, are you serious?
Yes. Hubris.
Now she'll see what happens when an entire platoon of people with Humvees and large weapons come and converge on a man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is... No.
Also, she saw. She was there.
She was there at the beginning.
She saw the first time. There's in the opening credits, and I think it was in minute 2, we have a thing of her looking up into the eyes of the Hulk. So she saw.
I have some nitpicking over these next few minutes. Like, this is one of them. Yeah. Like, what do you mean? No, that doesn't make any sense.
And then we get our first proper thing. So like our big green friend appears. So he jumps out. Okay, so now this is a technique called speed ramping. Speed ramping is a motion picture thing where the same sequence are playing out, but they'll slow down, so essentially adding more frames to show something really close up, and then it catches back up to real time. So like essentially this 2-second jump takes 10 seconds because they slow it down so we can see what happens. If you want to see an example of this, watch anything by Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is the king of speed ramping. Sometimes to great effect, like in 300, and sometimes to lesser effect,
you
like
could say
Superman v. Batman, Dawn of Justice.
Speed ramping is to Zack Snyder as lens flares are to J.J. Abrams.
Yes. Well said.
As explosions are to Michael Bay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can we make that?
Yeah, sure. We can continue on. As the mob movies are to Martin Scorsese.
Yes.
Yeah, like the things they love.
As dying is to Joe Pesci.
As using the N-word is to Quentin Tarantino.
All right. I mean, yes, like we have all of these things. Like, this is definitely
this is
a style of certain
and they don't
directors.
overuse it in the course of this and subsequent minutes. I really like it when it's used well. I mean, speed ramping is really cool. I used to call it slow fast until I knew what the actual official term was. So now you know, so you can sound super cinematic when you talk to people. But yeah, it's a way of like, let's take a second and really show you what's going on until we catch up to real time.
So isn't this also because this is the iconic introduction? Here we are, 52 minutes into the movie.
Yep.
And this is the iconic introduction to the Incredible Hulk.
Yes. And so much so that, like, as you mentioned in a previous minute, this is what you see in all the highlight reels.
Yes.
Like, whenever they do, like, MCU stuff, like, this is the black sheep of the MCU.
Right.
Even more than Iron Man 2, which I would say is probably the one right above it. But whenever they do anything showing, like, all of our heroes, this is what they use. I mean, maybe a little bit of New York, but mostly this.
But everything, this sums up the Hulk, and that's why this technique is used to stretch this out. Destruction, huge power, immensity, all of it, all on display in 5 seconds.
And so the big question is, when you see him, there he is in all his glory, bright sunlight, like we get to see him, why doesn't he look like Edward Norton? And I have an answer.
Please, because now we're going to get into I have issues with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you watch the Avengers movie and movies from there on out, he looks like Mark Ruffalo, but this doesn't look like Edward Norton.
There's elements of Mark Ruffalo clearly in that. Yeah. If you go back to the Ang Lee's Hulk, there are elements of Eric Bana in that Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah. Why is this doesn't look like Edward Norton?
Because they were doing this before they cast Edward Norton. Because of the way the CG had to work, because they knew they were going to have a full CG character as a main character on it, they started working on this and designing the look and doing even some of the action scenes before he was cast. So they had their Hulk before they had their Bruce Banner.
By like 6 months?
Yeah. Or even more, because I mean now, like, we think like, oh yeah, you can just do that, just like, like the fact that in Avengers Endgame the time travel suits never existed. They hadn't decided what they wanted to look like. They just CG'd that costume on all the actors had no idea what the costumes were going to look like. So nowadays we just go, yeah, okay, in 2020. Sure. But back then, things were not nearly as easy to do. Full CG characters running through and interacting with regular people was not a very common thing, or had not been done successfully. We've seen some pretty rough examples of it. So they wanted to get a head start on it. So they started working on it before that. So they probably had this leap before they even knew what he was leaping out of.
Wow, probably, yeah.
I mean, so they designed, here's what our Hulk is going to look like. And then they all agreed on it, and Kevin Feige gave his seal of approval, and then they continued on, and then when they got their casting thing, they sort of did a little bit, but not enough to like do a full face capture or anything.
Well, this speaks to again something that again takes me out of the moment with this and now we've gotten to this part of the movie. Now that we're in the full daylight of the Hulk,
yes,
okay, and this minute ends with he does the big leap and he does the big plant into the ground, and that's the end of minute 52. But immediately right there. Not my favorite rendering of a live action Hulk in broad daylight.
Okay.
it has a very
up to this point, or you mean even
this moment right now, because earlier in the botting plant, because we've talked about the shadows and the darkness and everything else, it was much more implied. So your mind and your imagination filled in this.
Sure.
Seeing this version in the full daylight, he looks more like a painting.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have it. In fact, I can't believe I'm going to give another moment of praise in this minute to Ang Lee's Hulk. The daylight Hulk in that movie looks more realistic to me.
Oh, see, I disagree.
Really?
Yes, I think that the Ang Lee Hulk looked so like he was glowing that he kind of looked.
Oh, the green.
The joke was, hey, look, it's Shrek started working out. I mean, because at the time, I mean, obviously, and not disparaging ILM or anything to do, because 2003, when they started working on it,
totally different.
The technology has, was much, but some things don't age incredibly well, and that one too. And I felt like that Hulk was very rounded. I mean, like he was still obviously like a muscle-bound man, but this one is very. This is where neither of us are workout people.
Yeah, no.
But like the difference in the musculature of this Hulk, that Hulk was very much like just the sort of the round bodybuilder stuff, and this one is very much like the sort of Street Fighter one. I guess I like the difference between Hugh Jackman in X-Men versus Hugh Jackman in the Wolverine movies. Like he had a very different look. He like a very, and once again, I'm sure all the bodybuilder people are like, oh, that's called strident or whatever it is, but like it's a different look to it because it's someone who's not trying to have like Mr. Universe kind of muscles.
The difference between 1990s, early 2000 Rock.
Yes.
And current Rock,
right?
Who has veins popping out like now? And I mean, way to go, Dwayne. I mean, I get it, right?
Like, he works very hard at that.
Yes,
I mean, that's the look that he wants.
I mean, there's a clear difference between those physiques.
Yeah,
and you're right. I mean, this one, because like in this shot, as we close it out, you can see the one vein.
Oh yes,
that is.
Right.
Just crazy on the one bicep.
I mean, exactly. I mean, and that's probably like 2 inches in diameter.
Yes.
Like you could put a pencil in there. I mean, like
it also
huge.
may be, though, I did not know the story about the face.
Yeah.
I think if this even had just hints of Ed Norton, I think I'd like it more.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think hints are pretty much all they would probably have. I'm sure they did their best when they got into it. And I think I've even seen footage somewhere out there of Edward Norton with dots on his face, growling into a camera. So, I mean, they have some reference of it too. But like I said, the majority of the work had to be done before this happened just to make the release date.
Maybe my opinion will change in the next minute.
Maybe.
We'll see.
We'll find out in minute 53. So in the meantime, if you want to keep this conversation going, if you want to talk more about the look of the Hulk, you can do so over on Discord. Yes, we have our own Discord chat room, and we even have our own Marvel Movie Minute Hulk thread. You can we pop over there from time to time, so feel free to head over there. You can follow the link from thenextreel.com, and you'll get us there. So we'll see you back here for minute 53. Hope you had a smashing good time. Until next time, true believers.
Bye.